Oh, does it really? Call the meeting in order, please.
Trustee Lawrence?
Here.
Trustee Lawler?
Here.
Trustee Leaflet?
Here.
Trustee Healy?
Here.
Trustee Katsinas?
Here.
Trustee Milani?
Here.
Mayor Dodge?
Here.
Time is 6:01. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the February 2nd, 2025 Committee of the Whole minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Katsinas.
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Committee of the Whole of February 2nd, 2026.
Second.
So motion and second. Any comments or questions about the minutes? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Lawler?
Aye.
Trustee Lawrence?
Aye.
Trustee Leaflet?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Milani?
Aye.
Mayor Dodge?
Aye.
Non-scheduled citizens and visitors for agenda-specific public comment.
Is anyone signed in?
No.
Does anyone wish to address the board at this time?
Proclamation for Peace Marketplace as Orland Park's Business of the Month, February 2026, sorry.
There you go. We tried to do this once, and so thank you for coming back. I think you had the extraordinary luck of coming to one of the busiest and longest meetings we had. So let's, you mind playing a video?
Hi, I'm Jared from Peace Marketplace. We are so excited and honored to be the February Business of the Month from the Village. We're a locally owned small business and your neighborhood destination for home decor, artisanal food and wine, and thoughtfully created gift baskets. You'll find us in Old Orland, at the corner of 143rd and Beacon. We've proudly served the community for over 8 years, and this spring, we're excited to add and welcome you to our new ice cream parlor and coffee bar. So come stop in and say hi, take a look around, and experience what makes Peace Marketplace special. We look forward to seeing you soon.
One of the things that we typically do is we'll read the proclamation, but Mary's really good at this, so I'm going to ask the clerk to read the proclamation, then we'll come up and we'd like to grab a picture.
Whereas the Village of Orland Park is proud to recognize and celebrate locally owned businesses that contribute to the economic vitality, character, and sense of community within Orland Park. And whereas Peace Marketplace, located at 14314 Beacon Avenue in the heart of Orland Park's historic Old Orland area, opened its doors in 2019 and has since become a beloved neighborhood destination for residents and visitors alike. And whereas under the leadership of Presidents Kevin Collazo, Peace Marketplace has established itself as a unique home store, artisanal food market, and gift shop, offering a thoughtfully curated selection of home decor, housewares, all-natural candles and soaps, Nora Fleming products, artisanal foods, August Hill wines, natural pet treats, and distinctive gifts for every occasion. And whereas Peace Marketplace provides an exceptional market experience featuring high-quality olive oils and balsamic vinegars, handmade pastas, sauces, dips, jams, and jellies, Door County coffees and teas, handcrafted candy and popcorn, gift baskets, and other specialty items that reflect craftsmanship, quality, and care. And whereas, beyond its diverse retail offerings and special events, Peace Marketplace is deeply committed to giving back and supporting the Orland Park community, guided by a mission to spread kindness, promote understanding, and uplift friends, neighbors, and those in need. And whereas Peace Marketplace exemplifies the spirit of small business excellence, community engagement, and the enduring belief that peace, love, and understanding never go out of style. Now, therefore, I, Jim Dodge, Village Manager of the Village of Orland Park, Village President, of the Village of Orland Park and the counties of Cook and Will, do hereby extend the sincere appreciation of the entire community to Peace Marketplace for its positive impact on the Old Orland District, its dedication to community service, and its continued contributions to making Orland Park a vibrant and welcoming place to live, work, and shop, and hereby proclaim February 2026 as Peace Marketplace Business of the Month in the Village of Orland Park.
All right, thank you. Would you mind coming up just for a second? There's a story here in terms of some of the core values. Would you mind talking to them?
No, yeah, we've just been in Orland Park now for 8 years, and we're excited, and we're going to open up the Peace Parlor, and hope to see all you guys there.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Next item.
ITB number 26-006, Aquatic Weed Control and Aerator Maintenance Award.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
move to recommend to the village board to approve and authorize the execution of a contractor agreement between the Village of Orland Park and Tigris Aquatic Services of Carroll Stream, Illinois, as the lowest qualified responsive bidder for ITB number 26-006, Aquatic Weed Control and Aerator Maintenance, at a cost of $48,800 per year in fiscal year 26, 27, and 28, plus a contingency of $25,000 for a total not to exceed amount of $171,400 in fiscal years 26 through 28, with the option to extend the contract for 2 additional years through fiscal year 29 and 30.
Second.
Motion and a second. Excuse me. Any comments or questions? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Lieblet?
Aye.
Trustee Lawrence?
Aye.
Trustee Lawler?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Mayor Dodge.
Aye.
Scope of Services Review, CPW, and Performing Arts Center feasibility studies for discussion only.
George, you or staff want to kick this off?
Yeah, Ray has a PowerPoint presentation, but just wanted to kind of lay the groundwork here. During the budget, when we were creating the budget, we included 4 large studies, and now it's going to be 5 because you can't hear me? No?
That's a little better.
So it included originally 4 studies, and then we added a 5th recently. So what we're going to do before we issue the RFPs for consultant services, the scope of services get reviewed by the respective boards and commissions. Then we come here to the committee of the whole to do any fine tuning to that scope of services, and then we will issue that RFP. So Ray, take it away.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and board members. Thanks for this opportunity to present these first 2 scopes. So this is for the Centennial Park West Strategic Operating Plan and the Performing Arts Center feasibility study. There we go. So again, it's for CPW and the Performing Arts feasibility study. The purpose of these, the presentation of these studies is to provide clear data-driven guidance, and community engagement is going to be a key part of this. You'll see this in the presentation as it's outlined. They have a lot of community engagement. CPW, the Strategic Operating Plan, purpose and goals, you can see all those listed there. We want to make sure we have a balance with the neighborhood, that we appropriately define the scale and types of events and the frequency of those events that take place there. Cost recovery strategies, guidance on when programming should be free versus ticketed, the impact to the neighborhood. And this venue is adjacent to the neighborhood, so that's an important consideration to the impact of the quality of life to residents that live there. and to have this feasibility study give us recommendations for best practices in using the facility. Continuation purpose and goals is evaluating opportunities year-round, so there's an opportunity to look at some of the vacant space to the north side of the property. That potentially can enhance guest comfort with restrooms, perhaps climate-controlled space, and then other revenue-generating opportunities that can offset capital. This is the full scope of services that's outlined in the RFP, and I'll run through each one of these very quickly. So community engagement. Might have missed one there. Okay, so community engagement. So these are the key stakeholder groups that we outlined in the RFP for the consultant to engage. You can see that it's important to have a variety of ways to engage residents, and so this is not an all-inclusive list. We would expect the consultant to potentially have other ideas to engage the community to make sure that they're fully engaged and included in the full collection. They would then they'll do the work to collect all the data and analyze it and provide us with recommendations and the information that come from that, establishing as a part of this the priorities and use of that facility and pricing sensitivity to our users. Some of the deliverables that are part of this RFP are the project work plan and schedule. Again, the community engagement. You can see the community engagement summary and documentation that would go with that. Additional deliverables, existing conditions and assessment. So that is how we've used the facility in the past, identifying the operational limitations, and you can see those listed there, and a high-level assessment of the land on the north side of the property. It'd be market and benchmark analysis deliverables, so regional market analysis, so how do we compare to other venues, both municipal and otherwise, and looking at that mix of free and ticketed programming. Competitive positioning for the booking of a facility that can accommodate approximately 6,000 people. Programming, use, and revenue strategies. So we would need the consultant to provide all these things. How many and what size should we do for free community events, ticketed events, signature events, movies. So just really all the programming that would take place out there, the frequency of that, the spacing in between. Are we going to be there every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Is it just once a week? Is it, what is the period and how often and to what extent? Again, the cost recovery, ticket pricing, the use of the alcohol. So are we going to allow outside alcohol as we are now? Are we going to sell alcohol? Are we going to restrict it? Are we going to get a vendor to handle that for us? Additional deliverables, evaluation of year-round use. So that's looking at that space again, and is that a viable space and how should it be used, and a recommendation that comes with that. The capital enhancements that accompany that. So, are these facility enhancements, what are potential facility enhancements in the spaces, public comfort spaces, that might be included, and the access to the park. Acoustic considerations, we do front of house sound mixing. Should that be a glass structure? It's always got a parting of the sea there behind that area. Can that be improved? Neighborhood compatibility and community impact deliverables. You can see all those listed there. Again, noise, traffic, pedestrians. It would include, the access to the park itself, the load in, the load out, both for the artists, for residents, people that attend the event. Assessment impact to year-round use and mitigating strategies for the use of that. Operating and staffing deliverables, so evaluating the way we staff it now and how should it be staffed, how can it be coordinated, should it be a third-party vendor that's doing that, and then the staffing requirements for each event and by the season. And then year-round staffing of the facilities, utility, security, and maintenance. So we're asking them to do all these things. We're trying to make this very comprehensive. Financial strategy and modeling. So a review of the historical financial performance, pro formas for free and ticketed events, the signature events, rentals, and partnerships. What does it look like if we allow outside alcohol or restrict outside alcohol? Seasonal and annual operating expense projections and cost recovery benchmarks. Capital investment and financial scenarios, so high-level financial scenarios evaluating the capital costs, the operating and life cycle costs, and a sensitivity analysis to attendance and sponsorship and pricing and all those other things you see there. Additional deliverables are sponsorships and marketing and partnerships. So what are our sponsorship opportunities, naming opportunities? How do we best provide benefits to our sponsors? Marketing and audience development strategies, so branding and positioning, audience growth, communication strategies for residents, an event approval matrix, so something that helps us make good decisions on those items that you see there, our scale, attendance, and other things. And then an implementation roadmap, so it'll be a phased implementation. So they give us something for 1 to 2 years, and then something a little more long-term, 3 to 5 years, actionable steps and a plan, and KPIs to go with it. The final deliveries would be a final strategic operating plan, an integrated comprehensive document, consolidating all the findings, an executive summary, and then you can see the concise decision-focused summary suitable for the village officials and the public. They would provide a final presentation and present that to the board. So that's the first one here. So I wanted to make sure we broke these up. So there's this one here. This was presented to the Recreation Programming Board on February 5th, and we incorporated any input that they had. So we want to make sure that you have a chance to also weigh in on that, and then after we incorporate yours, we'll refine that scope, and then we'll get this out to the public for proposals.
Thanks, Ray. Why don't we open this up for board comments or questions on this topic, and then we'll go to the next one. Any comments or questions from the board?
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Healy?
I think this is a wise move. I think I'd like to see a thorough study, and I think it's just great to put a lot of thought into it and figure out what we can do. I think hopefully we won't go through it too fast, just to give it a good study. So I'm all for it.
Trustee Lawler?
You know, I was going to say, I am actually all for this. I think this should be done for everything we do. When we build an amenity or really any project, major project in the village that has a capital outlay, I've read through the document a couple of times. It looks like we're covering everything. So I'm looking forward to see the results of what they bring us. So.
Any other comments or questions? Ray, I'm assuming, thank you, pretty comprehensive, right? Appreciate that. Let's see what kind of responses you get from the RFPs. When you said tool, I'm assuming you're essentially asking them to deliver you something like in an Excel modeling where you can kind of pro forma out a performance or a concert, correct?
Yes.
That's a simple tool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. If no other comments or questions, let's go on to the Performing Arts Center.
Okay, so the Performing Arts Center has several objectives, and again, I did provide this to the board in advance because these are fairly lengthy, so I'll try not to read through every single slide here. You can see the full list of objectives here. There's quite a bit that goes into this. We want to make sure that if we're going to make the investment into Performing Arts Center, that it's a feasible thing for the village to do, and that the public is behind it, and again, that the public is engaged in shaping it. So there's several phases. Phase one is market demand. So in analyzing just everything in the market related to Performing Arts Center is a feasible thing for Orland Park to build. Qualitative and quantitative data collection and analysis, and you can see all the different things there listed that it could include. The phase one delivery would be a summary report of the market demand and the comparable venue analysis. So we want to make sure, and this is one of the things that the Recreation Programming Advisory Board recommended, is they want to make sure they can see what other venues are doing and how they're run, and have a comparison so that as we move forward, if we move forward, there's a comparable to weigh that against. Phase two, again, is the community engagement. We believe the community engagement for everything we do, and the board mentioned this, we want to make sure that that community engagement is a part of this, that there's full community buy-in, that they want what we're trying to provide to them. We've learned from other projects that we've tried to do that sometimes the things that we want to do aren't necessarily in line with the public. So we want to make sure everything we do is in line with the public and we fully engage the public. The deliverable here is a detailed summary report of the engagement activities, all the key findings, the survey results, and the response metrics. Phase 3 has quite a bit going on. This is the facility program development and different scenarios. You can see the program components listed there, so those are all the different spaces that a venue like this might have included. It's a continuation of this, so you can see the music, the gallery. So this is really a comprehensive type of facility. It can be very big and very comprehensive, and these are all the things we're asking them to look at and help us determine if these are all viable things to include in the facility. More program scenarios. So as a part of this, we're asking them to look at 2 different scenarios, and they may suggest additional ones, but the way we currently have it listed is scenario A, which has limited arts and education spaces, really is used for performances, whether they're ticketed or free performances, in about 35 to 55,000 square feet. Scenario B is more multidisciplinary arts hub, which has quite a bit more going on, as you can see listed there. And that can be 60 to 90,000 square feet, or it could include a hybrid approach to this or a phased approach where we start with one type of facility and grow into a larger facility. In phase 4, we're going to identify potential sites. So is it a village-owned site? Is it a private site? And then you can see all the different things that are listed as a part of that site identification and evaluation. The deliverable in phase 4 is a site evaluation matrix and the recommended options from the consultant. In 4A, we also are asking them to provide an economic and community impact analysis, and that determines really the potential economic and community impact. You know, if you build a center like this, how does that impact our retail, our restaurants, our businesses? How many jobs are created from this? So it can have a real impact if we build something like this, as we've seen other developments that the board has recently approved and are going to have positive impacts to the village. In phase 5, financial feasibility and partnership and governance. So in this one, there's analysis of each of the program scenarios that I had presented just a minute ago. So it'll look at the capital, annual operating budget, 10-year financial, the evaluation of potential earned revenues, partnership opportunities, governance and management models, and then the lifestyle costs that come into a facility like this. Funding and grant alignment is going to be an important part of this. So evaluating, what kind of funding do we have and how do we use that? Potential foundation support, and then different types of grants. So in phase 5, we're looking at the deliverable, financial models, funding analysis, and governance options. In phase 6, we're looking for a recommendation and decision framework, and this is taking all the findings, synthesizing those, and providing a recommendation and helping us look at side-by-side comparisons, the potential risks, trade-offs, and benefits, recommended path forward, and then expandable development or phased options. So the final deliverable here is a comprehensive report and presentation. Here you can see the full list of deliverables similar to the last study. So this is the final list of deliverables. So there's interim deliverables and then these final deliverables that's presented here. And then again, this was presented to the Cultural Arts Advisory Board on February 3rd, and we incorporated their input into this.
Comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Leafblad?
I'm so happy to see this happening. I think that, I think that it will be of use to other village activities as well, just in terms of, there are 2 buildings that have been knocked down. And we have, dance classes that, programming in the village. We have music programming in the village. So just to have an opportunity to have a space where all of those programs can happen, in addition to others, just can, not only provide a wonderful place to have, to explore cultural arts and have a theater program in Orland once again, but also to provide a space for, all kinds of things. I mean, we could have, obviously we could spend hours talking about this, but even just to have an exhibition hall in the lobby, there's just so many things, and thank you for doing this. I'm really excited about it.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Milani?
I kind of looking at the program here, it's like, I think there could even be a third option C of where, is there a way maybe we can look at, okay, there's possibility of a center, maybe it could be a little smaller, and we also use Centennial Park West to do certain performing arts out there as well, because I think that's a great venue and it could, for certain activities could work pretty well. So I just think that, we should look at that as probably another option as well, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Lawler?
Yeah, first of all, I'm really excited about this. I feel like I'm probably one of the drivers of it. I could go on and on about this for probably over an hour, but I won't do that here. But, I've done a lot of research on this, and I've also seen a lot of stories, and I just saw one recently. 39% of kids in the United States play sports. 61% don't. So what are those 61% kids doing? Are they in dance? Are they in theater? Are they in other organizations? As Trustee Leafblad mentioned, we had the Cultural Arts Center that housed a lot of these programs, but unfortunately, some of the disrepair, it had to come down. But we didn't have a place for any of these kids to go after that. So right now, we're trying to piecemeal them into other places to fit them in and try and grow our programs. Just give you an example, recently, the Children's Theater, we've been trying to get it going again. They've been using the old Village Hall. It's a rundown building. Again, I think that one was slated to be taken down in the future. But, until it is, we're repurposing it. And recently got to meet with 50 to 100 kids. I can't remember how many it was. It was quite a few. But they provided me with a bunch of letters asking for more support from the village and wishing they had a place to perform and do these things. My daughter's grown up. I coached a lot of sports. My daughter's played sports, and but they were also in theater, and they were very passionate about it. And I always found it sad that a lot of times we had to leave Orland Park, a town of 60,000 people, to go to a smaller town to join in on their theater programs because we didn't have a place to perform. But there's a whole lot of other things that you can use this performing arts center for. It will have an economic impact, and I think of things for people in this town, what they can do on weekends. How many different uses we can have it for entertainment. Going downtown is not always an option for everybody. It's expensive, it's a long drive, finding parking. But it would be nice to have something in our own community where people could go and enjoy, whether it be a comedian, a small music show, traveling theater, local theater, renting it out to someone who want to do some sort of a discussion or a talk or a debate, having exposition space for, art shows and some other things. So I'm hopeful for this. I hope the community gets behind us. I know we spend a lot of money on our sports fields, and we spend a lot of money on some other things, senior centers and things like that. But hopefully we can find something that, will bring a lot of benefit to the community, whether it be, a house that maybe Ballet 5-8, a local organization, could use, or maybe eventually invite Illinois Philharmonic over, or the Southwest Community Band, all organizations that are looking for places to perform and play. So I hope the community gets behind us on this. I hope the study, brings us some good data, and I look forward to it.
Any other comments? Ray, George, appreciate the thoroughness of what staff has put together, because this is a pretty comprehensive diagnostic. I imagine some of the data that this firm is going to be seeking might not be the easiest to get, so we'll see. These are pretty specialized analytical skills we're looking for. How do we find, or how do we make sure that this RFP is on the radar screen for the firms who are good at this?
I think, and George can jump in too, I think we've seen other studies like this in other communities across the country, and so we can look at who made proposals in those communities and reach out to them and make them aware of this one.
Okay. George, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, just that as the scope of services, in true government fashion, we don't reinvent the wheel, we steal it. And so we found other reports, we found other studies, throughout the United States. We use those for scope of services, and then we also know the consultants that did those. So we do have a pretty good group of folks that we're going to be sending these out directly to, but then our bidding platform, it has far reach.
Good. And did you want? No, go ahead. Just to leave, Glenn.
I just wanted to add that, I wanted to keep my comments short. I think the focus of this is making sure that we get these things done. I, along with John, was given those letters from the kids in theater. In addition, I was the assistant director for our improv group in Orland for some time. Two people that I've worked with in theater have been keeping, not just keeping the lights on, but spending a lot of their own time and their own resources to keep children's theater going in spite of losing spaces because buildings were knocked down, and yet they continue. And I was grateful that the old Village Hall was open and available for them to be able to rehearse and perform there. I performed there for many years and rehearsed there for many years, as my children did as well. So I think that it's not just about theater, but theater and music and dance. This is just, and art. It could be a wonderful facility for all of those things, providing sufficient foot traffic to sustain it, just make it a wonderful place to gather.
Thank you. And then so we talked about the firms. This is pretty comprehensive. We've talked about how you make sure it's out there for the firms. What's the expectation on timing?
Go ahead, Ray.
Well, we'll incorporate tonight's input. We'll try to put together an option C to weave into this, and then the rest of it is boilerplate. So we should be able to get this out, I would guess, in the next couple of weeks. We'll leave it on the street for 2-3 weeks, and then bring it back to board after we evaluate the results.
So theoretically, then maybe mid-March, if we're lucky, to have a firm to select.
Might be a little bit later than that, I would think. Just a little bit, maybe more in April, I would think.
Ray, thank you. And just, George, to you and the staff, it's pretty important that we do this because this becomes the business plan if it makes sense for us to go forward with this. And having an outside firm with this kind of expertise giving us optionality is going to be fairly important. And then we're going to share those results with the public to say, we can do this and here's the implication, here's what it's going to do. Because I think if we do this well, and depending on where it goes, it could be a nice adjunct to our economic development in the area. If this thing is constantly programming, small acts, Joanna is the opening act doing improv. I don't know, is there a motion or a second to have Joanna open this up if we do build this? I think it could be a great amenity, and let's see, right? We really do need this diagnostic so we understand what we're getting into. So I'm thrilled that you guys are approaching it this way. See, okay. It was just a discussion item, correct, George, an update?
That's right. So today we did 2 out of the 5. So the performing arts is a feasibility study. The Centennial Park West is a strategic operating plan, right? So we're past slightly different. And so we have 3 more coming up. We have the athletic fields, which is going to be a strategic operating plan. The potential Eastern Field House will be a feasibility study. And recently we added the Sportsplex and the Fitness Center as strategic operating plans.
Good.
And those scopes of services will be back here as well.
Got it. Thank you. Next item, please.
ITB number 26-013, 2026, Asphalt Parking Lot Maintenance Award.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Lawler.
I move to recommend to the Village Board approve and authorize the execution of a contractor agreement between the Village of Orland Park and PT Farrow Construction Company of Joliet, Illinois, as the lowest cost qualified responsive bidder for ITB number 26-031, 2026, asphalt parking lot maintenance for a cost of $350,375, plus a contingency of $35,000 for a total not to exceed $375,000.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Katsinas?
I just want to compliment the staff on doing the bid compliance summary. That's very, very helpful. I know in a couple of them we didn't have it. So looking at the overall bids in one spot instead of saying refer to was very helpful. So thank you.
Any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Lawler.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Lawrence.
Aye.
Trustee Leaflet.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Mayor Dodge.
Aye.
Motion passes. Road scan and utility disruption updates for discussion only.
So that's, I don't know how good of a title that is for this topic. So we could have called this all about the data, but George, are you kicking this off or is it Joel?
Joel has, it's really two topics that we're going to be discussing. They're kind of interrelated about how we do our road scans. And then, recently we've been having issues with our utility disruptions. So these are kind of related, and then Joe's going to go through it.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. All right. I'll try the other one. There we go. Up. All right. So the first topic is road scan. Our agenda tonight, we want to talk about an alternative product that we were able to find. So I want to thank my staff. They were reaching out and looking at other products, and they came across a product that I'd like to present tonight. And a couple of things here, key points we'd be talking about is it's more than roads, number one. We have some AI assistants with us to help us to make decisions. And we've identified it's actually less costly, so from what we did in the past. So that's great news for the village. So the product is called Civil. It's spelled differently, but it's civil.com. The actual product is a vehicle mounted, it uses LiDAR, which is sometimes seen on TV. They use this product. It has a GPS and also uses high resolution cameras to allow us to do a full pavement scan. And we would do this annually. It creates the PCI, the pavement condition scoring, and also maps out all the distresses, which we haven't had in the past, where we actually had a visual of where the distress is. We got a scoring from the scan, but this actually gives you a visual of that. It can be completed in about a week. Our staff would do that. They give us the product, the machine, and mount it on the vehicle, and we do the driving around and complete that. We just no moisture those days, so we get a good scan. And then they data mine that in about 2 weeks, and they give that back to us. So pretty quick turnaround. It's downloaded into our GIS layers with Esri, and that also has visual imagery along with that. It shows the different type of distresses and severity, and then it gives us a rating for all the roads. You can kind of see the bottom right picture is how the road would have a different colored rating. You can see the middle picture, kind of how the distresses are starting to show. And I'm going to ask Tad if he could do a quick 3-minute video, and you can kind of see what that's like.
When you log in, the map of your city loads automatically. You can zoom in and out and click and drag to move around the map. At the top of the screen, you're able to select your base map style: dark, light, color, or satellite, depending on what view works best for you. Next, let's look at the layer panel. The layer panel can be toggled on and off from the top menu, and it's where all of the layers available for your city are organized. You can turn each layer or layer section on or off using the eye icon. Turning a layer on displays its features as colored areas on the map. Let's start with street imagery. With the imagery layer enabled, you can click into any colored road to view the street imagery, either 360-degree or high-resolution static imagery. The 360 view lets you fully rotate and move forward or backwards down the street, similar to Google Street View. In the bottom right corner, you'll see a small locator map that shows exactly where you are, along with a fan icon indicating the direction you're facing. You can zoom or reposition yourself directly from that mini map. For a more detailed view, you can toggle over to the high-resolution imagery. This allows you to zoom in closely to see roadway conditions or specific assets, and again, the locator map and fan icon update to show your location and direction of travel. Next, let's take a look at the distress details. I'll turn off all other layers so we can focus on just the distresses. As you zoom in, you'll see color-coded polygons representing each distress, things like cracking, patching, and potholes. Clicking on a distress opens its attributes, including the type, severity, and size. From there, you can open a high-resolution image showing the distress highlighted directly on the roadway surface. Now let's move to traffic and pedestrian control. Turning this layer on reveals all signs and related assets. Clicking on a sign brings up its details, and you can open the associated image for a closer look. Next, we'll review the road infrastructure layers by turning on layers in this section. I'll turn off the inspection cells so we can focus on the pavement condition. The segment-level pavement scores show the condition of each roadway segment. When you click on a segment, a pop-up appears with details about that selected segment. You can page through the details for all layers that are turned on in this area, including the striping information. And as with all imagery, if you want a more detailed view, you can click into the image for a full-screen view version. And finally, on the left-hand side of the screen is Civil's AI-powered Public Works Assistant, covered in depth in its own video.
We do have that video on the next slide, and I'll show you. That's only 2 minutes of that. Great, thanks, Ty. So we're looking at it. We're looking at doing a pilot for 2026. It's a very cost-effective number. If we do want to continue with that, we would come back to the board for a longer period of 3 + 2 option years. And I talked about the benefits. You saw a little bit of the road. That's great. But it also is taking all the imagery along the road as well. And so there's other things we can utilize it for. They mentioned the signs, paving markings, curbs, sidewalks, bike paths. There's other things that we can utilize this same product for. It's just a bolt-on additional scope of work. Very cost-effective because the data has already been done. They just mine it and then give it back to us. The other feature that highlighted is the AI product. It really is helpful for our staff. It can help us determine the future work areas, also the cost of that work area, because we can feed our costs from historical data, and then we can also factor that the capital plan, what you guys determine, what is the level of effort of cost we want to spend on our roads, and we can input that number and see what the outcome of that would be. So I'll share that quick video of that.
Here's how Civil's Public Works Assistant can help by creating fast, accurate asset inventories. In this example, we'll use it to review the town's stop sign inventory. When I run the query, the Public Works Assistant starts with key findings. At the top, we see the total number of stop signs in town. From there, it breaks down the condition of the assets, shows what data is included for each sign, and provides potential next steps based on the findings. Along with the written analysis, the assistant also generates a custom map layer that aligns with the prompt. It automatically pulls out every stop sign in the inventory and displays them geospatially, complete with associated images. This makes it incredibly easy to scan through assets visually and understand their condition in the field. Let's dive into the signs rated in fair or poor condition. The Public Works Assistant identified 83 signs that scored fair or poor. The assistant breaks down the details and again offers recommended next actions, such as scheduling inspections, planning replacements, or grouping repairs to reduce labor costs. Just like in the previous example, the assistant also generates another custom layer called Stop Signs Needing Attention. When we open that layer, we can zoom in on any individual sign. For example, here's one of the poor condition signs, and the image confirms it really does need maintenance or replacement. With Civil's Public Works Assistant, we can review thousands of assets, verify their condition, and prioritize work in just minutes. Tasks that would normally take days or require multiple field visits can now be completed quickly, accurately, and with full confidence.
I do like that last one because if it helps save my staff some time, that's great, because we can do something more efficiently. The other couple of benefits that we found that we do, the data scan is given to us and we can house that. And every year when we do the scan, it kind of builds on the AI because it will build some historical data for the AI. Also, it's a proactive versus reactive approach. So we are looking for a data-driven management system. Instead of running around looking for the failures and complaints, we're trying to get ahead of it and so that we can make those decisions and plan with the capital. The last is, we looked at it compared to our last scan, which was every 5 years we'd have that cost. We anticipate probably with inflation and so forth, about $150K worth of cost. But with the pricing that I outlined, we do see a savings over that 5-year period, about $50K. Also, we get the benefit, not just the road, which the other one was just roads, but we get the benefit of all those other things along the roads, right? So that's very powerful, signs, striping, and all those so forth. The other scan did do that for us, so that's great. And so with that, before I go into the next topic.
I'm sorry, Joel, go back to the previous slide. Let's open it up for comments or questions on this.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
couple questions. So the scores that this application provides, do they map to the same scoring that we were using?
Yes, so it will be the same color coding as before, and then, we've had in our usual is we shoot for 60 or greater, as many of the roads as possible.
So this can actually help us maybe even move at a faster pace, or at least understand our roads a little better, because we own the data now, so we can actually mine it, look at it, and
Correct.
do everything ourselves. And the fact that, on a regular basis, we're doing sidewalk assessments, we're doing the signage replacement, we're looking at curbs, fire hydrants, all of these different things. We can make one pass and get all of that, or do we have to make separate passes for each artifact?
One pass, and then we have to ask them to data mine what we would like to get. They do have, sometimes there's a car parked, and so we may have to take a second pass in that one area or something like that. But that's more for like a sidewalk, and they even have a sidewalk product that we could potentially use as well for just riding it down the sidewalk versus the street.
So essentially then, all of these different studies that we end up doing that we spend money on, we could consolidate into one or two and be able to actually save more than just the $50,000.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
There's a totality benefit that I'm very excited about.
And the fact that we can load this into GIS and be able to manipulate that, I think that's a step above what we have today, right? We don't have that with what we're doing today.
No, we get a PDF, and this is great to have it on and then ask the questions. We can interact with it and yes.
Okay, great. No, I think this is a great approach. It's data-driven and, as the mayor's mentioned, AI and, trying to make things more efficient, those are things we're looking to do. So I think, it's
I think
definitely a good find.
Tad hit it on the head. He's like, this is the first product I think that really we can utilize in the village for utilizing that AI to help us. That's huge.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Trustee Leafblood?
I agree. I think that it's exciting to see this because just as you mentioned, the amount of time it's going to save you and everyone, and all the rest of the staff is going to be significant. You can go straight to a problem. And I think that what's going to be helpful, something that I see that I believe will be helpful as well, is planning for the future, you know, if you can do a scan today and say, okay, in 5 years, this is going to need X, Y, or Z, maybe we can start planning ahead in terms of how the spending will be. I'm sure that you've been doing that up to now anyway, but this is a tool that'll provide, even more opportunity to plan ahead, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, it was a very good presentation.
Mr. Mayor?
Jesse Lawler?
Maybe I missed it, but Joel, this is something that we would hire someone to drive all our streets, or we would put it on one of our trucks and one of our employees?
One of our employees would do that. We just get the actual
Hardware.
scan, the hard, and mount it on our vehicle.
Okay, and so then would we send someone out to do this over a week, or is it just something we leave on our truck for a month and slowly pick it up?
They recommend that we just do it over a week, if weather permitting, we don't have any storms. But we want dry pavement when we do this. And so they estimate our size would be probably about a week.
All right, and then it does review the condition of the road just by appearance, or does it actually map like dips in the road that you might see?
Yes, that is one of the criteria, depressions. It'll highlight, that's one of the findings.
And then could we use it for our tree trimming as well? Will it be able to?
It does do
overgrow?
trees, but what we did with our last assessment just a year ago was the health of the trees, the size of the diameter, the type of tree and so forth. So that was pretty comprehensive, and knowing which ones are maybe have some branches dying and so forth. So we have a really good assessment recently, but in the future we could look at that.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, looks like a great tool.
Yeah, it is.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Katsinas?
Just had a quick question. When it came to road builders or contractors, are you able to share that data with them? When it comes time to, say, redo curbs or a road or sidewalks, that you're able to incorporate that into the bid process?
Yes, I mean, we could, yes. Once we determine the areas, we could share that, the imagery or something like that.
Just thought maybe it might help, You don't have to do the whole sidewalk, you have to do parts of it.
Correct.
Just
Yeah.
initially.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments? When we talked about this at Joel and his team, I'm pretty excited about this idea, and it's, I don't know, no-brainer, is that a good word? I'd like to get to the place where your AI tool is bored in 3 years because we don't have any flaws left on any of our streets or sidewalks or our signs. Just saying, Joel, that's the expectation. Just saying. And, I think a solution like this, as Tad, who's been looking for use cases with applied AI to make us better and more efficient. And oh, by the way, this is going to save us some money. So there's a couple things that are really important, and I think Trustee Milani, you touched on some of these. It's all roads, 550 miles of roads, and 1,100 miles of sidewalk.
Roughly,
We're going to have pretty comprehensive data every year about the condition of all those. And so why does every year matter? Because then you start to have a time series that we're going to be able to analyze to see what's degrading where and at what rates. It'll be fairly comprehensive. And then the secondary benefit coming out of that one is, Joel, you and I have talked about ideas you and your staff have for maximizing the lifespan of a road with treatments over the course of its life. This kind of tool is going to be really important to inform us how well that plan is working.
Right.
And so for relatively nominal costs of, was it about 30 grand a year?
Correct.
That's a pretty minor cost to pay when you're spending 4 to 5 to 6 or who knows how many millions per year on your road projects to kind of support what you're doing. So it's a great program. I'm glad your folks found it. I'd like to keep encouraging you and your team to keep exploring these kind of options. But like in 3 years, you have a bored AI and say there's nothing to report, Joel. That's what I want. That's the answer I'd like that AI to come back and tell you in 3 years, Joel.
They will probably have a different answer, but there's always work to be done.
There's
on
always work to be
streets.
done.
Yes.
But George, what are the next steps? Anything, or just you're gonna fire it up soon?
So we'll work with the contract for, with George's signature, for that first year of pilot. And then if everything goes well, we'll bring it back to the board for next year.
One other thing, when we bring it back to the board, I think we should talk to explicitly. You can't just trust the AI engine to do this well. So let's make sure that when we bring this back to the board and you fire it up, this is a holistic program. So who's the human in the loop, right? So between the GIS data or your folks kind of looking at what this thing is telling you, go out and field check it, because it'll never be perfectly accurate. So let's just make sure you guys layer on the processes so that the human expertise is guiding this thing. Thanks, Joel.
And Joel now has the second part, which is kind of related because of the reactive, proactive element.
A couple weeks back, in December timeframe, so it's been maybe a month or two now, obviously we had some disruption with our telecommunicators. I just wanted to give you an update on a couple of those items, and that's the agenda here tonight. Give you kind of a feedback of what we were hearing from residents, and what we created action items for each vendor to fix. We held meetings with all the telecommunication vendors, their government reps, their project managers, and also we talked to NICOR and ComEd because they did have to play into it as well because they're reacting to anything that maybe gets hit, or they should also follow the same processes, you know. Then we looked at, there's really three types of work that occurs in the village. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's just a connection to the house called a service drop. Sometimes there are emergencies that they have to get it done right away. And then lastly, planned work, which is what is permitted. The other two are not permitted. They just need to get the work done. And then we are working on the ordinance update that will be coming back to the board. And we're looking at commencing work really. The weather has been much warmer recently, but we were thinking always that March 1st would be the start date again, obviously if the weather was warmer again, but we need to just talk about that tonight too.
So, and just as far as that March 1st date, ever since we were here before the board previously, there has been a work stop on all of these types of work, and that Joel and his team, including our legal, they're looking at this, how do we tighten up our ordinance and our processes? So the ordinance is going to, because it's in the land development code, is going to go before the plan commission first, and then it will ultimately come back to the board.
Tad, can you hit it? There we go. All right, so real quick, what we found out that most of the issues that came back to us in Public Works, about 70%, was the service drops. They ran the cable during the winter, and they're gonna have to come back to repair it, bury it. About 10% came back of that they're still not finished with restorations, so they're gonna be doing that in the spring. And then another 20% was there's some kind of damage found, maybe from the boring operations, and all those vendors are going to have to come back and do those repairs. Let me try this. Oh, thank you. So on the service drops, I just kind of highlighted a letter to each vendor, our expectations. It is allowed during the winter, but on top of the ground, right? They're not doing a lot of the digging. The digging causes a lot of a mess in people's yards. But from March 15th to November 1st, it is just standard summer work, and they should have those buried within 2 weeks. But when you go into the winter, they can't because of the frozen ground, so those have to be completed by May 31st. We wanted to really stress about, even with this type of work, you gotta talk to the residents. Letters to the houses to let them know what's going on. Especially if you're running service drops on the back of on top of the ground, the dog is playing with it, you trip over it. Just tell them what's going on, because people are not informed. And then that communication can be, we want to make sure the door hanger talks to them. Hey, there's other things in the yard that people privately own, dog fences, they have power to their sheds, they may have drain tile or draining their gutters, all that kind of stuff. They should ask, what do you have? So when they come in there and start to bury it, they're aware. So those are the kind of things we're really emphasizing. Next one, please. Emergencies, similar. Again, getting that word to the residents that they're doing some work, right? If something's coming up where they have to get in there and restore it right away. Next one. This one's a little longer, but our process in Public Works is always to do a pre-construction meeting. It's in our ordinance to do one, and that really sets the tone for any project going forward. So that's why we want, with the permit work, to have the construction meeting with the prime contractor, which whatever vendor, and their sub who's working. We need to talk to the sub so they know what our expectations are. I've listed the kind of those things are going to happen when those project is occurring. And so they need to know what those expectations of the village are. Next slide, please. So for update of ordinance, yes, we found that actually we have two sections. And so they kind of said the same thing, but one would get updated and not the other, and vice versa. So what's going to come back to you is a single ordinance location. And then we also added a small paragraph about project management of those expectations so that they're aware ahead of time. And then that's a kind of a schedule we're going to be having with the Plan Commission, and then back to you guys with approval. Next one. Our next work going forward, we mentioned March 1st. We want to sit down with them to make sure they have their list ready to go as we kick this off. We want to make sure that they know improvements that we're expecting, which I highlighted. And then we'd like to give them the updated ordinance when that gets approved. And then our big thing is we want to look at being more proactive versus reactive. And this is something that we thought we would recommend, is to have some additional people. We have a quality assurance supervisor running around right now, but just one vendor, Comcast, has 30 sites ready to go this spring. 30 sites. Obviously, we're not going to release all 30 because that'd be too many. Every vendor has many work, and so in order to kind of keep eyes on that, we're recommending some part-timers for consideration tonight. We utilize maybe some of that savings from the previous presentation to maybe offset some of that cost, because obviously I try to find a balance if possible. And then lastly, we want to make sure we get some message out to the residents that when spring's starting up, that the work will be starting up again. Not only new work, new fiber, but also people's existing stuff that are repairs are being occurring out there, and they'll be working in the backyards. With that, any questions on that?
Any questions from the board for Joel's plan? George, why don't we address the 5 part-timers? So just want to make it plainly clear what we're proposing.
So, like Joe mentioned, something that is new that we implemented is a quality assurance supervisor. It's one person, and we have a very large town. Our goal with these 5 part-timers is to literally have somebody standing over the shoulder of these contractors. So the problem that we've experienced, the Public Works has experienced, is them going rogue. So they'll go and get a permit, and then they'll just tack on a couple more properties or do any of that stuff. So we want to make sure that we're there while they're working. So that's the whole goal here, and use the cost savings from the AI to help offset those costs.
The other, Joel, I think it's important because I've heard from a number of residents, you know, it's disruptive when it's happening, but I've also heard some people appreciating the fact they have an alternative, for example, to Comcast. So I think when we get through all this, it's a net positive. But I also want to make sure we're clear with our residents, there's more coming, correct?
So, yes, Astound currently is in Zone 2, but there's been other vendors who've asked. We have yet to hear it. When they've asked, because they all want to be the first of another option. once they hear that another company is ready, starting to work, they kind of move to another town and ask that town. But there is some other names that have reached out to the village, and they could come in.
And one of the reasons we see this influx right now of these fiber operators, and just to be clear, the fiber operators are not the only problem. Comcast, for example, uses subs for their work, and it's really these subs that are causing most of the problem. You know, they get paid by whatever, and they just want to get in there, get it done, and get out. And so they cut corners. So we know that Homer just signed an agreement with, I think it's called Clearwave.
Clearwave, yeah.
Yeah, and we've been approached by Pavlov, and we've been approached by other fiber vendors. The reason this is all happening is there is a tax benefit to them between a federal tax benefit and a state.
To install the fiber, there's a benefit to the companies to push.
Correct.
Okay, just make sure we're clear.
Yeah, so we're going to be seeing this for many years to come. Just Astound alone is 2 years of this going through our town. And then if we have more vendors, and then we have more now that we have Astound, now we have more potential for cuts and drops. So we really have to, and that's why we're tightening up our process.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Lawler?
George, you said that sometimes they cut corners or they go on to another project without getting the permitting or approval. I know for a lot of contractors and stuff, we require them to put bonds up, insurance. Are we requiring that of some of these contractors? Whereas if they veer off the plan, then they're fined heavily, or it comes out of their bond.
Yep.
So that way the taxpayer doesn't have to spend the $45,000 for extra workers, you know, because they decide they want to try and speed up the job and cut corners.
Yep. That's exactly what Joel and his team and the legal services are doing. They are coming up with a very biting fine ordinance. It's going to start out high, and it's only going to get exponentially high each one. We looked at the bonds, and because of the way the state statute's written, we have to treat all of these utility vendors the same, right? And so the bond obligations for the legacy vendors is very low, or some of them don't even have a bond requirement. So our stick in this whole process is going to be the expanded fine ordinance, and we would take those to MV. Those work. We've hit a couple of those subs a couple times. Not happy because it cuts into their profits. But had they not cut corners just to try to save a couple bucks, ended up costing them more. So we're kind of retraining them that Orland Park is not the place to cut corners.
I was on the phone with Comcast this afternoon talking about how they represent them, right? So the sub, they got to understand that they are an acting agent of those vendors. And every time they do something wrong, it's a black eye to them. And that message has to get driven down to their subs to not do that. So
We, when this first came up, one of the things we talked about was what can we do given that this is largely regulated by the state? So it's local permitting, local oversight, which we're going to expand. And then we've had the conversations internally. The reason Trustee Lawler for the ordinance is probably going to use this phrase too much over the next few years. You know, laws are not suggestions. And until there's enough emphasis in the ordinance for this to sufficiently sting for these contractors, and with oversight, they're not going to pay attention. And so I'm glad we're making progress on that ordinance. We'll bring it back. But holistically, we are also taking a look at the entirety of the code base, including how we do fees and fines. It's just, you know, like I said, it's just, I get what they're trying to do. Customers will like the outcome. What they're doing is hard. Boring through an as-built environment is kind of tough, so you're going to have problems. It was a classic example of taking the power off in Clerk Norwell's neighborhood. So we're just going to try and tighten it up, and like I said, we're going to keep working on that ordinance. So that's the full version of the story.
And I just wanted to kind of reemphasize, Astound, the village doesn't even provide them, they don't need to get a franchise from us. Their permission is from the state of Illinois. The state statute, all they have to do is go to the state, they apply for that statewide permit, and we can't deny them. What we can do is, they have to follow our processes, so which is why we have to make those processes for every vendor that does that type of work.
Any other comments or questions? Trustee Lawrence?
I have a question about the 5 additional people that we think that we need to help monitor this. Are we intending that these be temporary or that they be permanent?
So they will be permanent part-time. So they're all going to be part-time under the IMRF requirements. What we're envisioning are retirees, folks that may have been in the trades, someone that just wants to, make a couple extra bucks. There's a turnover in part-time positions. So when we get to the point where we feel like, okay, that we don't need them, and that's at least 2 years away. Just Astound is 2 years away. And if we have more vendors, it's going to take a couple extra years. So then in a couple years, we will reevaluate how many of the part-timers we need.
Okay, follow-on question. So if these installers are effectively the cause of us needing to hire 5 additional people at this sort of cost, do we have a mechanism to raise our fee to them for installation services in the village?
So they don't get charged a fee because they have a statewide license. The way, if it's any indication of how they've been performing before, there is going to be a lot of recouping in the form of fines through MV court. So that's going to help offset those costs.
Or better yet, they get the message and they just do the right thing. That would be the best thing, right?
That would be the best outcome.
We don't want neighborhoods
Exactly.
getting cut off or
Yep.
other issues, safety issues in the field.
Yep.
Be better they just learned our rules and that we made it obvious that we are going to enforce the rules, and hopefully they won't be in court.
And we're going to enforce them uniformly. So, it's going to be a training, right? So they get hit a couple times and exponential fines. So I agree.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
just to clarify this, we're going to pay $225,000 so people can watch people work.
They're going to do more than just watch them work, right? We're not going to, it's not going to be $50,000 per person. These are part-timers.
Well, it was estimated at $45,000 per head. So $45,000 times 5 is $225,000.
I don't think it's that high.
I think there was a high estimate.
Okay.
But that is the point, that is the purpose of them. It's not going to just be but they are going to be in zones. So we're also going to be proactively looking at our parks. If there's no work going on as far as undergrounding, they're going to be looking at our parks. They're going to be doing all of the proactive quality assurance before we get calls from residents.
So they could drive the car around for Joel.
I don't get it.
With
The scanner.
Scanner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Katsinas?
how did the figure 5 come to be? Why wasn't it 2, 3, 4? How did you determine 5 people? And to Trustee Milani's point, it is a lot of money to act as like the Public Works Police Department to look over everything, right? It's a lot.
We're looking at it like 19 hours is the max we can really do per week. And so we get, 3 people for 19 hours, so the other days we need additional part-timers to cover. So we came up with the 5 plus we knew that so many sites are available. So we need it Monday through Friday at least. And sometimes they work on Saturdays. So we can work a 6-day week with the 5 people with part-time if they put 8 hours in, you only get 18 hours, so I need a double the 3. That's what, we went a little lower, not 6, and then we went 5, just to, that we could, that Saturday or not is a day that we.
Could they be seasonal? I mean, if the lines are on top during the winter, what are they checking? And we have other people in other departments doing QC too, right? I mean,
Not really. That's the problem we have right now. We have a very limited QC. We run a very tight ship as far as staffing is concerned. We don't have surplus. And one of the,
that's a good thing. For the taxpayer, that's a real good thing.
it's a good thing, except when we get criticized for why didn't you know that this was a problem, right? Because we've talked about how many lane miles we have. We know how many ponds we have. We know how many parks we have. We have a finite number of people, so something has to give, right?
But I think with the plans that we have in place, like for instance with our parks, we do those evaluations. With our roads, we do those. You know, to have somebody drive around saying, well, something's broken. You know, in the ideal world, we'd have a police officer in every block too. Comes the point of, you know, how much are you willing to pay for it, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's a quality of life. So
But I think seasonally, the winter time, to have people on the clock driving around without work being done for the purpose in which they were hired, I think is not a good use of taxpayer funds.
there is a lot of work that can be done in the winter as well. So, you know, after a snow event where they're out there checking if something is missed. Joel and his team have a lot of work that just because nobody's going to be sitting around doing nothing or just driving around.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
just to follow up, and I think this would probably help solidify this. Let's come up with an actual plan other than saying, hey, we need 5 people. Show us exactly what they're going to be doing, estimated number of hours, and maybe it'll make more sense, but right now I don't think it does.
It has to come back to you guys anyway through a salary ordinance amendment. So at that time, we will have a very detailed outline plan.
Details matter.
Great.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Proceed to agenda initiative.
Trustee Healy?
A couple of weeks or months ago, I saw a discrepancy in the gaming information out there where, and my biggest concern was we were collecting revenue on 24 gaming licenses when there was only 23 active licenses. I didn't know what the difference was, what's the implications. Is there an internal control problem? I never thought it'd become an agenda initiative. I just thought, what's the discrepancy? Let's fix it. But I don't even know. I mean, does every discrepancy in the finance department or whatever deserve an agenda initiative? I don't know. But I think this is, I'd rather just see it fixed and taken care of. So I'm going to withdraw the agenda initiative.
That's certainly your prerogative. George, we could, meet with Trustee Healy and explain what, if any, discrepancies exist. And then, we're going to bring forth in the near future a complete look at the gaming ordinance, make sure we're compliant with state law. So, Trustee Healy, appreciate your comments. We can certainly get you those answers. And then George, put on the agenda to future use, a future meeting to take a look at that ordinance.
Yep.
There's a number of issues that I think we need to address with state laws, correct?
Yeah, we want to make sure that our gaming ordinance that has gone through a number of iterations is in accordance with the state statutes. Well, we also want to review where our gaming ordinance program stands. We know that Tinley Park, our immediate neighbor, they collect $1.3 million in gaming revenue. We collect $300,000. So there's, we want to see what's happening there. So it's going to be a holistic overall review of the entire gaming ordinance.
Trustee Healy withdrew the Comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Garcia?
Just very quickly, if we could have some sort of mechanism when someone loses a probationary video gaming license, that in fact they stop gaming. To make sure that when there's something that happens with the liquor that goes into gaming or they make an infraction, what are the rules that we have set in place or the steps that we have set in place to make sure that doesn't happen?
Right now, I think it comes back to this board, but that we will confirm all of that as part of our holistic review.
And George, if you could just check, I thought during the whole gaming ordinance, when it came to Orland Park, that for some reason I seem to recall that there's a third party that has control, so I thought over those machines that could remotely shut them down should the end user violate our village code. Could you just check into that as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Next item, please.
Non-scheduled citizens and visitors for public comment on items relevant to village business.
Is anyone signed in?
No.
Does anyone like to address the board? Okay, if you'd like, would you like to please, do we need to,
Oh, I don't have a form.
just come up and address, just let us know your name.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Johnson. I live in Orland Park and I live in the Evergreen View subdivision. Tonight, I want to restate my objection to the pickleball courts that are planned to be installed in our park later this year. Since I spoke here last fall, a few things have happened. First, our annual Homeowners Association met in November. It represents 186 homes. After the pickleball courts were discussed there, our board members concluded that they do not feel this feature is in the best interest of our residents. A formal letter of their strong opposition was sent to you in early January. Secondly, tonight I'm delivering a petition that was signed by residents who live adjacent to the park. Both of these documents express our view that pickleball courts in this location will have an undesirable impact on our neighborhood, especially due to noise. My own research learning about the noise problems from pickleball has been eye-opening. A simple Google search produced over 100 articles right off the bat. The Acoustical Society of America recently held a conference in Hawaii in December of 25, and a study was presented addressing the negative effects when outdoor courts are closer than 1,000 feet from homes. Noise pollution is a real thing, especially for noise-sensitive populations, such as children and those with special needs. 92% of the respondents in the study said that they had a health concern related to the pickleball noise. This is a valid issue being raised across the country as awareness is growing. More and more towns are dealing with noise complaints. Many have attempted expensive mitigation efforts only to modify or even close the courts at a great cost to the taxpayer. I have personally spoken to park staff and residents from communities who've recently dealt with these problems, such as Libertyville, Deerfield, Vernon Hills, Naperville, and another western suburb. No one told me that installing pickleball courts in their town did not generate complaints. All have either banned new construction or they now require farther setbacks plus mitigation tactics that can be expensive, a hassle, and difficult to enforce. I also spoke to acoustical engineers from 2 different companies. One personally lives 750 feet from courts, and she said that the sound is audible inside her home. Not every site is a good choice for courts, and an environmental noise study is often recommended before any final commitment is made. They explained to me that it's more than just loudness or a decibel issue. It's the type of sound with its impulsive nature and its high frequency that is so irritating to the listener.
If you could, just wrap up. We're trying to find the right way to let
I
you know
will.
they're 3 minutes. We didn't mean to shock you there.
I will, that's
But
okay.
please wrap up.
It's
Thank you.
okay. So players come for an hour, they enjoy themselves, they have fun, and they leave. But the homeowner has a totally different negative experience and no way to block the sound from their home. I hope that you will consider all these viewpoints and remove pickleball from the proposed changes to Evergreen View Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, would you like to address the board? Just make sure you let us know your name.
Hi, my name is Debbie Pullman.
Could you adjust the microphone just a bit? Thank you.
Hello. My name is Debbie Pullman. I live in the Evergreen View subdivision. I am speaking against the proposed pickleball courts at the Evergreen View Park. We moved into our home several years ago for this very peaceful neighborhood and our dream home. We thought the playground was very nice the way it is. I understand that it is 20 years old and should be updated. My biggest concern is the proposed pickleball courts in the Evergreen View Park. I am extremely concerned about the repetitive noise the pickleball creates from dawn to dusk. The courts are often used early in the morning, which means this constant pong sound will be almost every morning. Pickleball can be fun and a very good physical activity. I just feel it should not be placed in small neighborhood parks where it causes noise and adverse quality of life for surrounding neighbors. It should be placed in larger community public areas. I hope that the board will listen to the opinions of the residents who are most adversely affected by it and who live closest to the proposed pickleball courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a petition you'd like to? Okay, we're going to be done with the meeting soon, so just bring it up if you could. Sir, if you could.
Good evening. My name is Rich Capone. I'm also a resident of the Evergreen View subdivision. The majority of our residents of Evergreen View do not favor the proposed pickleball courts. Our homeowners association has submitted a letter to the village in no support of pickleball courts. Some of us have communicated our wishes to Ray Petoni and Greg Brugman to the Parks Department, as well as speaking with the mayor's office and the village trustees, both by letter and in person at another board meeting. Our efforts have been ongoing since the pickleball courts were first suggested in late August. However, the application for the Illinois grant has moved forward despite our objections. There are various reasons that led us to believe that this type of feature in a quiet residential setting will be disruptive to our quality of life, and we, along with our homeowners association, ask you to reverse the course on the pickleball installations in the Evergreen View subdivision. We respectfully request pickleball courts to be located in a designated village sports park area like Centennial Park. The location has an excellent parking facility and restroom facilities. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Just before we break for the meeting, Ray, do you want to make a couple of comments here just to clarify this? So we're doing this to not address all the specifics, but just get some information to you right now. Ray?
Yeah, so we did not receive the Evergreen or the Oslite grant for the Evergreen View project. So at this point, we're reevaluating the whole project as a whole and whether any improvements should be made. We know that the playground is going to move forward. It's going to be presented tomorrow night at the Grounds and Facilities Committee at Recommend at 6 p.m. So you can weigh in on the type of playground that's going to be there. Everything else we're still in discussion about. The pickleball courts were part of an earlier survey. Just for background, we had surveyed the community and received about 363 responses. And we had done the initial survey. We didn't even ask about pickleball courts. It was the community that asked for it. So when we did the survey, we included the question about pickleball courts. Out of 363 people that responded that lived near the park, 20% asked for 1 court and 60% asked for 2 courts. So that was where the court thing came in, was as a part of the survey. We had not had planned to do that, but we were trying to be responsive to the survey. Again, at this point, the improvements in the park are still in discussion, so we're not sure what improvements, if any, except for the playground, are to be made.
All right. I think, go ahead, George.
Because
I'd like you and Ray to address the residents after we break the meeting.
Yeah, and because the whole budget is now has to be reevaluated, there will be another open house type environment that we're going to invite everyone from Evergreen to hear what is planned, to, if anything, to be done.
So if you could, please stay for a moment. There's no other items, so we'll call to motion to adjourn this meeting.
Mayor?
Trustee Leafblad?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
So motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Leaflet.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Lawrence.
Aye.
Trustee Lawler.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Mayor Dodge.
Aye. So if you could, I would like, Ray, if you and George could address some of the concerns.
Time is 7:31.
We're going to take about 5 minutes and we'll come